Before contributing content to GitHub, you should first understand the methodology of contributing things to GitHub. And in the GitHub world, we call this the GitHub flow. So we're going to visually look at what the GitHub flow is, and then look at how you use the GitHub flow in your own projects or somebody else's projects. So what we're going to do specifically is we're going to go over to GitHub flow. We're going to implement it in a project that we have in our test user, Microsoft Certified Trainer. We're going to implement the GitHub flow there. And then we're going to go to somebody else's project. And in this example, we're going to use one of my own projects and implement the GitHub flow in one of those projects. So the GitHub flow is pretty simple, but you just have to visualize it your very first time running through it. And then once you can visualize it, it's a pretty simple workflow to go through. Essentially, what it says is that code is a continuous line. And if you want to make changes, you should do them outside of that continuous line. So at the top of this chart, we have a light blue line representing what we consider our master code, or what's perfect and accurate. Now, if we want to make a change, we should branch off of that continuous line and create a branch where we're going to make our own changes. So in our branch, let's use an example. Our continuous line is lab instructions on how to make a website. In our branch, we might have new instructions on how to make a website that's hosted on a provider like Azure or AWS. So we make those changes, and once we have the changes made in that branch, we create what's called a pull request. A pull request is our way of letting that master branch, that original light blue line, know that changes are incoming and we need them reviewed. Here, somebody who owns that master branch will review our changes, and we may have some discussion. We may make some more changes. We may have some review. There may be some yelling and hugging. Anything can happen, but this is our chance to continue to manipulate code, change it, continue to have discussions, and do what we need to do. And once everybody's happy, we're going to approve of those changes. Finally, when we approve the changes, they're deployed. So in the example of docs.microsoft.com, once the changes are approved, they're deployed to the docs.microsoft.com website. In the example of Microsoft Learning, once the changes are approved, they're deployed to the mock lab files. So we'll have new lab files, new all files, and new lab instruction files. Once everything is deployed, our light blue line, which is our master branch, it should reflect whatever's in production. So we need to take all these changes and merge them into our master branch. Now, this sounds pretty complicated, but it's pretty easy to follow. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at an example of how to do this in a repository we own, and how to do this in a repository somebody else's own. Now we have the Microsoft Certified Trainer organization and a How to Get Certified repository open. Now from this How to Get Certified repository, we have some really simple instructions on how to get certified. Now we look at these instructions and they say things like view a list of available certifications, select a certification, view a list of exams, schedule exam, pay for it, and then actually take the exam. Now, after talking to our project manager, we discover that we should actually have some instructions on how to say study for the exam. So we want to make these changes, but if we're using the GitHub flow, we're not going to make these changes in the master branch. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new branch. So we're going to say branch. We're going to type in a new branch. I'm going to call this branch How to Study. But we now have a new branch based off our master branch called How to Study. And since there are no changes to this branch, it's considered even with the master branch. We can actually go look at our list of branches here. We can use things like insights to get a pulse. We can look at all sorts of interesting things like a dependency graph, code frequency, look at commits, and see some visualizations on how our project works. We can even see forks by everybody else, communities, contributions. Again, a lot of really interesting things about our branches and our changes. So if we go to our repository, by default, we're always going to be in a master branch, or whatever branch is set as the default. I'm going to go to the How to Study branch and begin making my changes. So I'm going to click this README file. I'm going to edit it right here in the browser to keep things simple. And let's see, after we complete the registration process, I want to go ahead and add a step 2 study for the exam. And I'm going to say updated README to mention studying and commit these changes. Now, if we go to our How to Get Certified repository, we see that this branch is one commit ahead of our master branch. We can create a pull request, so I'll hit compare and pull request. It'll automatically fill out the pull request with a title and description. It's saying we're going to take changes from How to Study and request that they be pulled into the master branch. Hit create pull request, and we now have a pull request. You notice our pull request has a single commit. Now we could just pretend to be somebody else in our organization who came in and says, this is great, but you should mention study resources. Go ahead and comment. And now in my branch, I can go and do things like add some more content. So I'm going to go back into my How to Study branch, back to my README file, and I'm going to go ahead and add some study resources. So study resources may include Microsoft official courseware, Microsoft Virtual Academy, Channel 9, Microsoft Press exam prep books, community forums, and blogs. I'm going to add a title to my commit, so added study resources to README. Make that change in my How to Study branch. And if I go back to the pull request, you're going to see, since I created my pull request early, that this change comes after the comment. So now we have a contextual history of what changes were suggested, what were made. I could go in and do really interesting things. I could go look at the files change, review the changes, say, I'm going to approve of this, or comment on it. I'll say, this is perfect. Since I'm myself, it says you can't approve your own pull request. We'll just ignore that for now. And we'll see that it was reviewed. This is perfect. We can merge the pull request in. Delete our branch. And if we go back to our repository, we no longer have a How to Study branch, but our master branch has been updated with the final code. So this is using the GitHub flow on your own project. But you can do the same thing in other people's projects. So in my C# Run organization, I have a repository called How to Take an Online Proctored Exam. Now, since I'm logged in as a Microsoft Certified Trainer right now, I can't make changes to C# Run's repository, but I can fork this repository. So I'm forking for C# Run to Microsoft Certified Trainer. And once it's done forking, I can make some changes. So for example, I have instructions on how to take an online proctored exam. But one of the things I notice is missing is that we don't have any instructions on how to set up your work environment. So I'm going to edit this file, and I'm going to say, make sure your test taking area is compliant with all Microsoft rules regarding online proctored exams. Go ahead, commit this to the master branch of my fork. And since I'm in the fork, I'm going to go ahead and create a pull request. Now this time, I'm coming from Microsoft Certified Trainer, How to Take an Online Proctored Exam, into C# Run, How to Take an Online Proctored Exam. You can continue to branch, you can continue to do a lot of things from here, but we're going to keep it really simple. I'm going to create a pull request. I'm going to say, edit instructions on test taking area. I'm going to create that pull request. Now, as Microsoft Certified Trainer, I don't have permission to go in and actually merge this pull request in. But my main user, which is C# Run, he can do that. So github.com/C#Run. We'll go to his organization. So I'm logged in as Sydney right here. or C# run, and I see a pull request is here. Oh, this is great. Looks like Microsoft Certified Trainer has recommended a change. Yay, I got my first contribution. I'm going to go in and review this change. So say, this is great, but it's not perfect. I like the effort, but we need to explicitly spell out some of the test area requirements. Let's submit that review. And it looks like we got a decline, but with changes requested. So if I go back as Microsoft Certified Trainer, I see that a review is done and I need to make some more changes. So I can go back into my own repository, so Microsoft Certified Trainer. So I go to my own fork, how to take online proctored exam, and I make some more changes. So I'm going to go in and I'll say, all right. Requirements include test area must be walled with a closed door. Maybe no third parties should be allowed in test area. Test area should be away from disruptions, especially if you are at home. And then finally, test area should not have any posters or wall art. I think this will be good. Put some periods. And I will make this change. Added test area specific requirements. Commit these changes. And now I'm going to go back as C# run and see that he added some more content. So I'm going to go look at these files change. We need to refresh this and see he added more requirements. This is great. I'm going to approve of these changes, but I'm still going to submit some feedback. This is good enough to merge. Do you mind adding another requirement mentioning that you can't have any paper on your desk? And submit that review. But here's where things get really interesting. When somebody submits a pull request, you can actually go into their repository and make changes. Now this sounds really crazy, but let me show you what I mean. So I could go into the repository Microsoft Certified Trainer. So github.com, Microsoft Certified Trainer. I see his fork. Remember, I'm still logged as C# run. I could go in and make the change for him. You see down here, I could commit directly to the master branch. So I can say test area should be clear of any paper or documents. And make the change myself. This is really useful as somebody who's, there may be some pull requests and you don't necessarily want to wait for everything to be done. So we go back to our C# run version. Notice nothing has changed here because we haven't merged the pull request yet. We go to our pull requests. We'll see that C# run has made a change. Everything's approved. We merge our pull request in. And now C# run repository has been updated with the content from Microsoft Certified Trainer. And we're able to accept content for an external repository. Again, using GitHub Flow, we can either make changes to our local repositories in GitHub in our own organizations and accounts, or we can submit pull requests to other organizations and other users. And this is the flow you would use to submit changes to Microsoft Docs, Microsoft Learning, or any other repository you see on GitHub.